Hello everyone, and welcome back to my house. I'm so glad you came in for a visit today. And I'm Carolyn, your retired happy friend from Mississippi. And if you're the first time visiting here, I'm so glad you dropped by. And I welcome you to my front porch. I'm sitting on my front porch in my Lubona beautiful rocker, and I am loving it so much. If you don't have a rocker on your front porch, go to www.shop.lubona.com. And if you put in the discount code Retired Happy 15, you'll get 15% off of your Lubona rocker. So we're sitting on the front porch. It's the end of a beautiful day. It's the middle of March. Where has the year gone? So it's been a wonderful day at Maggie's neighborhood here at my house. We're sitting out on the front porch, so what you hear, I hear an airplane. You may hear birds, you may hear Maisie bark, but we're sitting on the front porch. Today is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to record today and let you see exactly what I've done today in my house, in my neighborhood, which is Maggie's neighborhood, in the order that I did it. Now, usually I do the cooking segments in the order that I cook it. I do the walking segments or the sewing segments in the segment or the order that it does. But today, it's going to be a little bit different. So you're going to see my day all the way from the start to finish in the way I did it. I'm going to fix lunch, and it's going to be RANA ravioli, spinach and ricotta ravioli that I make a sauce for. I'm making rolls today. I'm completely out of my homemade bread, and I don't buy bread or rolls anymore except for my sourdough bread, which is the Gold Miner sourdough bread. But my rolls and my regular bread I make at home. So I'm going to be doing that, and then we're going to, let's see, what else have I done today? It's been a busy day. So, let's see, the ravioli, I made the rolls, and then the sewing project on Sewing With Me section, I made a pillowcase, and I showed you how easy it is to make a pillowcase. And these I use, we have donated them to many charity organizations. We've donated them to women's shelters. I've given them as Christmas gifts. I've made them as gifts when I made quilts for my grandchildren. I have 9 grandchildren, and I made all of them a homemade quilt, and I made a pillowcase to go with it out of the same fabric as the quilt. So I'm going to show you that. Maisie and I go for a walk. Now, Maisie and I are back home. I've got the rolls baked. They're out of the oven and on the counter. So let's get started. My thankful for today is I'm just so thankful for my health, for my family. I'm so thankful for this beautiful weather. And I've showed you my tree right outside my front door several times. So I'll show you my tree again that I think is just God's gift to me late in the afternoon. It's such a blessing. I'm loving my rocker on the front porch. I'm so thankful for my family and the love that I have. And I'm so thankful for Maisie. She's so much company, and she's such a sweetheart. And I've gotten so many comments on Maisie, and yes, she's a sweet dog. So my good word for today, God tells us in the Bible, be strong, be courageous. For I don't give you a spirit of fear, but be strong and courageous. And as long as we trust in the Lord with everything and put everything in His hands, He'll take care of us, and we don't have to worry whether it's good or whether it's bad. He'll see us through. So we have, my daughter and I have a motto, LG, let go, let God. So when we try to do it and try to work it out, it doesn't work out nearly as good as if we'll just let go. And Maisie's licking my hand. I'm sorry, my camera's bobbing. So let's get started. Maisie quit. So let's get started, and I hope you enjoy this video. Please let me know if you like it this way or if you like the other way, but this is just natural, visiting my house, my home, at the order that we did it today. And if you have any suggestions, if you've made the pillowcases before, please let me know. And if you decide to make the pillowcases this way, please let me know, and please let me know how you did it and how you used it, if you gave it as a gift or as you've donated it, or if you kept it for yourself. So until then, thank you, and I hope you enjoy this video. Thank you so much. Oh, and I need to tell you, when you're watching this, if you like it, please click the like. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and that lets me know that you're enjoying the videos that I'm making and kind of what direction I need to go in. And then in your comments, if you want more sewing, more cooking, more crocheting. I haven't done watercolor yet, so that's still on the list to do. So just let me know. And then if you click the bell at the bottom, that lets you know when another video is coming available, and it lets you know so you can watch. And I appreciate so much every one of you for visiting, and I hope this video will give you something that you can enjoy doing. And you know, in retirement, life is a journey and it's constantly changing, so we need to enjoy the day by day. We need to enjoy what's coming the next day and not worry about tomorrow, because nothing stays the same very long. So this is the end. You'll see it all the way to the end. So please share your smile with somebody you meet today, and be kind to each other. You never know what somebody you meet in the world is going through that day, and your smile could make a world of difference in their life. Thank you so much, and let's get started. Well, I'm completely out of bread, so today is bread making day. So I'm going to show you step by step how I make. This is a different recipe from the potato rolls I made last time. So check this one out. It's really easy. They come out wonderful every time, so I hope you'll try this recipe. We're going to start with 1 cup whole milk. I'm going to add 1/4 cup condensed milk and put that in the microwave until it gets just barely lukewarm. The milk is lukewarm, just came out of the microwave. Now we're going to add 1 egg. Whip that. Two tablespoons sugar. 1, 2, stir that, mix the sugar in with the warm milk, and the milk has to be just barely lukewarm, just where it's comfortable for your finger. If it's too hot, it will kill the yeast. Now I have 2 packs of active dry yeast. And I have found through trial and error that 1 pack and a half pack is perfect, and it rises wonderfully every time. 1 pack is not quite enough. And I do like for my rolls to rise. So there's 1 pack. And another half pack. Okay, I'm going to mix that up well. Get the yeast in the milk mixture and let that start dissolving. And you will tell when the yeast is good, and when it's active it will start bubbling and start rising. That means it's active and it's live. Now I'm going to use my stand mixer with my dough hook. If you don't happen to have a stand mixer with a dough hook, you can just use it in a big boiler. Use your spatula to gradually mix in your milk and yeast mixture with your flour. So the recipe calls for 4 cups flour. I'm going to put 1 cup in, start with the liquid, and then I'll add the next cup. In my recipe, I use 2 cups regular all-purpose flour, 1 cup self-rising flour, and 1 cup whole wheat flour. I've just poured the liquid into the flour mixture. I'm going to add 1 more cup all-purpose flour. And I have a little shield to put over the bowl, and that just helps to keep the flour from flying all over your kitchen. So that was 2 cups all-purpose flour. I'm going to go in now with 1 cup self-rising flour. Now 1 cup whole wheat flour. And now I'm going to add the butter, 1 teaspoon salt, and 1/4 cup melted butter. Salt. I'll add the 1/4 cup of melted butter. Put the guard back on. And now the dough is all mixed up, the flour is incorporated. So I'm going to scrape the sides of the bowl, take the dough out on the counter, and we'll start kneading the dough. Take the dough hook out. And here is my dough. I'm going to just pull the rest of that flour that's in the bottom of the bowl down into the dough and turn it out on my counter. So I'm putting some flour on my work surface. I have a really nice granite countertop, so that is just perfect for rolling out the dough. So I'm going to take all of the dough out of the bowl. It actually needs to be kneaded for 10 minutes. So that's a good bit of kneading, and that's going to get everything mixed in really well. So in kneading, those of you who have made bread before, you know you mash it down, pull it to you, mash it down, and this gets all of the flour, the yeast, everything is all mixed in well. And this is really good exercise. If you're having a bad day and you need to relieve some stress, just start making some bread, get your bread dough out on your counter, and you can start kneading it and take out a lot of frustration and aggravation. Bread making is a good thing to do, a good pastime. And the extra benefit is how good it makes your house smell. The house always smells wonderful when bread is baking in the oven. Okay, and you can see how this is all coming together in a ball. And it's going to be good. So now I've been rolling and kneading the dough for right at 10 minutes, and it has formed a really nice ball. So now I'm going to put it back in the mixing bowl that I mixed it in. Put it right in the bowl. Going to pour a little bit of oil in the bowl and roll the dough around it to coat the top of the dough. And now the next step is just to cover it with a dish towel, put it in a warm place. I usually put mine on the back burner on the back of my stove, turn my oven on really, really low, let it just get warm and let it sit there. Usually I let it rise about 2 hours. We'll check it in about an hour and see how it's doing, and then see if it needs to rise another hour, which I like to get a good rise the first time before I roll it into my rolls. So I've set it on the back of my stove, turned the oven on, the heat will come out and help to keep, just want the dough to get warm, just enough for it to rise, not hot. But I'm going to let it set right there. I've covered it with a damp dish towel, and we'll let it just sit there and rise and check back on it. Today for lunch, I'm preparing the RANA spinach ricotta ravioli. So I have my water boiling. I'm going to put in a pinch of salt. And I'm only going to prepare half the bag. Since it's only made for lunch and I don't eat very much, I'm going to just prepare half of it. And even that will give me some left over for another meal. So I'm cooking it according to the directions on the back. And I'm bringing my water to boil. I'm going to put my ravioli in the boiling water, and it says cook for 4 minutes. So I'm going to, as soon as my water boils, I'm going to put my ravioli in. So I'd find this in my grocery store in the refrigerated section over where the cheese and the cold cuts are. It's usually on the top shelf, but I get this where I also get my tortellini. And I've had the tortellini that I prepared in another video. So according to the directions, it says to serve the ravioli, just toss with butter, olive oil, and then sprinkle up the top with the Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. But I like to have a tomato sauce on mine, so I've already prepared my tomato sauce. I browned a 1/4 cup hamburger meat, chopped up some onion, and I cooked that, browned it, and I'm using for my pasta sauce, this is Muir Glen organic Italian herb pasta sauce. No sugar added. It has no preservatives in it, and it came out real chunky. So I'm going to like that. It looked really good, and I like my pasta sauce and spaghetti sauce a little bit chunky. So I'm putting my ravioli in, and it said if it does stick together, don't stir it or try to get it unstuck. So I'm going to just leave it like that. Let it come to a boil. And set my timer for 5 minutes. The ravioli has just finished boiling. I have already drained the water off. So I'm going to sprinkle it with olive oil. I'm using the Bertolli olive oil. And I'm going to sprinkle that, toss it, and then when I was at Kroger, I was able to get the Reggiano Parmigiano cheese and got it on sale for $3.60. So that was a really good bargain. So I'm going to sprinkle the Parmigiano Reggiano cheese on it. Give it a toss Toss it gently. The pasta is very tender and the ravioli will break open really easy. So I'm going to put that on my serving plate now and get ready for a wonderful, delicious lunch. So I have my ravioli. This is my sauce. And I'm just going to sprinkle, going to top my ravioli with my sauce. A little bit more Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. A little bit more is good thing. So I have the ravioli is ready. And to go with the ravioli, my side is going to be oranges. I have some sliced oranges, and this is going to be my lunch today. And oh, it's going to be good. I can't wait to try this ravioli. So I finished lunch now, and it was really good. I would really recommend the RANA ravioli. So I figured up how much that economical, budget-friendly lunch cost me. The ravioli was $5 a pack. It was a 10-ounce pack, and I cooked half of it and then ate half of that. So my serving of ravioli was $1.25. My Muir Glen meat sauce, the pasta sauce, was $3.99 for the whole jar, and I only used maybe a fourth of the jar. So the meat sauce, I figured about 50 cents for that, and then the meat and onion. I already had the hamburger meat in my freezer, so that was a little bit left from another meal. So total, I figured up my whole meal was $2.25, then plus whatever my orange cost. And I got the bag of oranges at Kroger when they were on special. So there you go, very nutritious, very economical meal for just one person. Now I'm going to share with you a hobby of mine has been sewing and quilting for some time. So this is a quick, easy project that you can do probably with any leftover scraps or pieces of fabric you have in your stash. Now what I did with mine, I'm going to show you several projects I've done, but I made quilts for my great-grandchildren for Christmas last year, not this past, but the last year. And on every one of the quilts that I made a pillowcase to go with it. So I've already given those, and those are off and gone, but I did make 2 quilts for my guest beds, and I made a fall quilt and a Christmas quilt for me, and I made a pillowcase to go with them. So that's what I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show you step by step how to make an easy pillowcase. So now I'm going to show you some of the things I've done with the pillowcases. So if you like to sew and you have some fabric scrap stash in your fabric stash supply, maybe you can do one, or if you have another project, or you can do them for donations or for charity. So I'm going to take you a little quick tour of what I've done, give you some ideas of just some ideas on what I've done that you can adapt to what you have. And then I'm going to take you step by step on how to make this quick, easy pillowcase. These are 3 pillowcases that I made for granddaughters. These are Christmas gifts, were Christmas gifts, but I have them, and you can use any kind of combination. This is the fun of being creative. You have one fabric for your band, one for the little accent strip, and then what you want for your body of your pillowcase. So I know a lot of you quilt and like to do quilting, and my quilting is not professional. I do it for fun and because I enjoy it. So this is a quilt I made for my bed for the fall, and it's lined in flannel. Has the I used the cotton batting, and I get all of this at Hobby Lobby. But this is the quilt I made for fall for my bed. And my quilt patterns, I will say, I got from the Easy Peasy quilt book. And this is the contrasting, or not contrasting, but this is the complementary pillowcase that I made to go with this quilt. So the pillowcase and the quilt. And I only made 1 pillowcase because I usually just put 1 of the accent pillowcases. So these are the quilts I made for my guest beds. And this is the Easy Peasy quilt design and the pillowcase that I made to go with this quilt. So I have one on that bed, and then I have one on this bed. So they match. And these are some blankets that I have crocheted. These I follow Ophelia Talks Crochet, Anya Tynes. She's located in UK. And this is the most recent one I made of hers. This is the Beatrix Potter Peter Rabbit quilt. And this one was another one of her design. It's the duck pond crocheted blanket. So those are just some of the ideas of what you can do with your pillowcases. We have been putting them in a plastic bag to package them. And I made my little tag on the computer that I put in with my quilt. And it just says, handmade just for you. And this was from the church that we had. So you can make your own. You can put just a tag in there and say, love Graham, or I love you, or I made this thinking of you, or whatever little special note you want to make. Make it yours, make it creative, and make it fun. So this is what we're going to use for the pillowcase today. This is going to be the body, this little fairy design. Then I'm going to make the band and the accent strip out of the pink and the blue. So the body, the length of the body of the pillowcase is going to be 30 inches long. So for the pillowcase of the main body, I'm going to make it 40 inches wide and 30 inches long. And when I'm making my quilts, I use a cutting pad and my rotary cutter. But I got used to tearing my fabric when I was doing a lot of smocking and smocking kits and designs, and I really like to tear my fabric. I get a straight edge, it's quick and it's easy, and I've just gotten used to tearing it down. So I'm going to tear my strip, and there we have the body. Okay, so this is going to be the body of the pillowcase. See, it's so quick and easy to tear my fabric. Cut yours if you're used to cutting it, and really and honestly, if I were not making something that I need just a straight with the grain edge, I would cut it, and I did for all of my quilts. Okay, so there's the body of the pillowcase. I have decided to make the accent strip out of the blue. So the accent strip, the contrast strip, needs to be 2 inches wide, and then the 40 inches like the body of the pillowcase. Okay, 2-inch wide for the contrast strip. Now we have that. Now the band of the pillowcase is going to be out of the pink, and for the edging, for the band, it needs to be 12 inches wide times the width of the pillowcase, which will be 40 inches. So 12 inches by 40 inches. So I have the 3 strips torn. I have the body, which is 40 inches wide and 30 inches long. The edge is 12 inches long and then 40 inches wide. The contrasting strip is 40 inches wide and 2 inches. So another thing, you can only tear your fabric if it's cotton. So don't try this if you're getting a polyester cotton blend or a rayon or a nylon or anything, but cotton will tear beautifully, and it gives you a straight edge, and it's so much quicker for me than putting it on the cutting board and using my rotary. So that's what I do if I'm tearing strips. So now we're going to the ironing board, going to iron this, and then we're going to put it together. So I just came to check on the bread and see how the dough is coming, and it has risen. It looks beautiful. So I'm going to take the dough out of the bowl, put it on the counter, and turn it out. Going to give it a few quick kneads, roll it around, and we are ready to make the rolls. I actually let it set. I think it's because my kitchen is cool and maybe because I'm using the whole wheat flour, but I actually had to let it sit in the bowl and rise for right at 2.5 hours to get it as much as I wanted it risen. So now ready to roll the dough into rolls. So I have the parchment paper, and to make the parchment paper lay down on the cookie sheet easier, just kind of crumple it up and wrinkle it up and it will lay flat for you. I always have trouble getting mine to lay flat on my cookie sheet till I learned that trick. So there's the cookie sheet. And now I'm going to start making the rolls. So I don't know exactly how many I will get. Usually I make some a little bit bigger so that I can use them for hamburger buns and sandwich buns. And otherwise I just make them half the size of a ping pong ball. And I'm going to make these, put them on the cookie sheet, put them on the back burner, and let them rise before I bake them. And I'm actually going to put them pretty close together, and that will make them rise. After I get all of the rolls rolled out and put on the cookie sheet, I'm going to make an egg wash, and I just take one whole egg, add a little bit of water to it, whisk it around, and then take my pastry brush and brush the tops of the rolls. So my rolls are made out, and this time I got 18 out of my mix. So I'm going to cover it with my damp dish towel and put it on the back of the stove, and just going to let it sit there on the back of the stove and rise in a warm place. And I'll come back and check it in about 2 hours. We should be ready to bake our rolls. Now I just ironed all my fabric pieces because mine has been folded up in my storage bin for quite a while, and it really needed some pressing. So now we're going to put our pillowcase together. And this is where you'll need to pay real close attention to your right side of your fabric or your wrong side of your fabric and the direction of your print. So this is the edging. So we're going to put that down flat, the whole length of it. We're going to lay the edging down flat. Take the 2-inch strip, which I've pressed, and then folded it in half and pressed it in half. So now it's a 1-inch strip. So we're going to lay the strip along the top edge of the edging piece of the pillowcase. So we're going to lay that there. Now this is the body of the pillowcase. So we're going to take the body, the main piece, and put it right side down on the strip and line up the edges and line up the top edges. And I'm going to go ahead and start pinning this together just so it won't slip. So all along we're going to line the edge. We've got the top edging of the pillowcase, the contrast band, and the body that we've laid down. And we want the body laid down with right side down. So the right side of the edging, and then the contrast strip. When you do this the first time, the second time, it's so much easier. And this style of pillowcase is what they call the burrito pillowcase. And it really is easy. It's really fun. You can go to any of your fabric stores, Hobby Lobby, or I heard Joann's is closing all their stores, and I really hate that because I got so much yarn and so much fabric, and even my watercolor, my art supplies from Joann's. But anyway, I heard they are closing all their stores. Okay, so now we've got all the edges together. Now take the body of the pillowcase and kind of fold it up, not to get it in the seam. Keep it down below the seam line and fold that part, the body up. Now we're going to take the edging of the pillowcase, and fold it over the top and get these edges all together where they're straight. And now I'm going to come back and pin these edges together. So you've got the main part of the pillowcase inside this fold. And like I said, after you do it once, it's so easy and so quick. You can really make one in an hour. It's just the first time you're not quite sure how to do it and have to kind of figure it out as you go. But then the second time it just whips right along. So I'm getting all of my edges up together. And going to pin, I have the edging of the pillowcase, the body of the pillowcase, the contrast edge, and then the back side of the edging. Pinning all those layers together so they won't slide when I get ready to sew. Okay. And make sure they're all even, and that will make sewing it all together so much easier if we get it all straight lined up on this part of it. Okay, that's the last pin. So now we're going to the sewing machine and we're going to sew down this line. We're going to sew all the layers together. Okay, all the edges are together. And now we're ready to sew. So I'm going to take maybe a presser foot wide seam. So I have my presser foot on this edge of the fabric, and I'm going to stitch all the way down, stitching all the layers together. About a presser foot's width. And that's why it's important to make sure when you're folding your body of your pillowcase up, make sure it doesn't get up to the top part where it will get caught in the seam. So the last thing we want to do is have to take it out when we get through. Okay. There we are. We've got it all stitched together. Now, the magic part. So we're going to come to the end and reach up in the pillowcase and fold it out. And we will start pulling the body out. And it's just like, kind of like unwrapping it or unfolding it. And that's where it gets its name, the burrito. The burrito pillowcase. So it all just pulls right out. Voila. Like that. And then we will press it again. Now I'll show this to you just in case it happens to you, but when I got all of my pieces together, they're not quite even the same length. So what I'm going to do is put that down on my ironing board and then cut this extra off. Somehow I just didn't measure all my 3 pieces together, but it's going to be okay, don't worry. So this is what I'm doing to get it all evened up. So I have the edges of my pillowcase together, the body, and I have the top together. So I'm trimming it off so it will be all the same length. So I just squared it up. So now we're going to take the pillowcase and put wrong sides together. So we're going to make a French seam. So get your pillowcase down. Get your edges together, and hopefully our edges on our little contrast strip are going to match up. Sometimes mine do and sometimes mine don't, but that's okay. So I'm going to go all the way down and pin the edges together. I have it all pinned from the top edge down to the corner, and then from the corner over to the center. So now we'll go back to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew it together, and I'll probably take maybe almost a 1/2 inch seam, because I am going to trim it down and then fold it the other way, and we'll get it where this raw edge is all covered up with the French seam. Okay, we have everything straight. We're all ready to start. So I'm going to set a little bit on the outside my presser foot, and then I'm going to go just sew all the way down to the corner. And I do back stitch. This little button right here is the back stitch. So this is a new home Janome sewing machine that I got at Joann's that I'm using. And make sure that your seams are even. Even though I have it pinned, I always check just to make sure my edges haven't slipped and they're still together. Okay, we're all the way in. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to trim this seam close to the stitching line, but I'm going to just trim off this frayed edge, and then I'll press it, turn the pillowcase and press it, then we'll be ready to finish it up. One more seam and we're done. All the way to the corner, and then I'm going to cut across the corner to cut out some of the bulk. And now go up the side. I've trimmed it all the way around the edge, so now we're going to take the pillowcase and fold it wrong side out. And we're getting ready to finish up with a French seam, and that's going to give a clean finish on the inside to your pillowcase where there won't be any raw edges, which makes a really nice gift. And then you can choose whichever fabric you want, and sometimes I have seen a lot of ladies who like to make it without the contrasting binding, so it's just up to you on what you want to do. And while I'm turning it, I try to go ahead and press that seam open with my fingers a little bit so I can press it easier with my iron. Pulled out some extra thread that had gotten caught, and now I'm going to the ironing board. Okay, now I'm just going to put the pillowcase across the end of the ironing board and press this seam all the way down to the corner and take it out. And then this end I'm going to just pull out best I can and get it straight so I can flatten that seam a little bit better, because it will just make it a little bit easier when I get it ready to sew it. So there we go. All right, now we're going to go back to the sewing machine and take this seam that we just pressed, and we're going to fold it down, and I'm going to go ahead and stabilize that with some pins just so it won't slip. And I'm going to stabilize the seam and get it flat down. And this just gives your pillowcase such a nice finish on the inside. It shows you put extra work and care into it, and a little bit more attention to detail, and it doesn't take that long. You can see you can make one of these pillowcases in an hour, and especially after you make the first one. The first one is the hardest part, and if it doesn't make sense on how I did the top part and putting all the layers together, just pause it, look at it, rewind it, because it's really easy when you do the first one. And you can use any combination. I did the fall one to match my fall quilt, and I did another Christmas one that I couldn't find to show you, but I had a Christmas quilt that I got on sale last year because I had been wanting a Christmas quilt so bad, but I didn't want to make one because my bed is queen size, and I didn't want to get into making a queen size quilt on my sewing machine. So I found one at a really good price, and I bought my Christmas quilt and then went to Hobby Lobby and found some really pretty Christmas fabric to make pillowcases with. So you can your imagination is your only limit. Okay, we're going back to the sewing machine now and make this seam, and we are done, friends. Okay, here we go. I'm going to get the top edges together. And I'm going to line my presser foot up even with the edge. In case you're wondering what this little gadget is on my sewing machine, that is a walking foot. And I bought that when I was making my quilts and I was doing my quilting on my sewing machine. So I got a walking foot, and it makes it so much easier because your layers of your fabric will flow through, not flow through, but they'll go through your sewing machine with the lower feed dogs, and then the walking foot helps to keep your fabric from shifting as you sew it. Another thing I learned when I was doing my quilting on my machine was to get my quilting gloves. And I got those at Joann's also. They're light gripper gloves, and since I bought mine, I have seen somebody else who went to Dollar Tree. And this was something I hadn't thought about, but they went to Dollar Tree and got some of the gardening gloves that have the grippers on the bottom. And they used the gardening gloves, which would do the same thing and work just as well. Now this is going through all those layers, so I'm going to be a little bit careful here. Okay, that's looking good. Okay, here we go. We are through, friends. Now all we have to do is turn the pillowcase and press it, and it's ready to either put on your own pillow or wrap it up and package it as a gift, and make you a really pretty personalized card to go on it if you're going to give it for a gift. Now the next project I want to do on sewing, and coming back to my sewing machine and a sew with me, will be an apron. I need a new apron anyway, and an apron is another really easy project you can do for a gift or for yourself, for special donations. So next time I have a sewing project, it's going to be an apron. There we go. Now I'm going to press it and go back to the ironing board and meet you back over there. Okay, I'm going to press it and look at the binding. I am so amazed, y'all. Look how well it matched. I think that was only because I was doing a demonstration on it, because rarely do I have it come out match that evenly and perfectly, but that came out beautiful. Beautiful match. And if this is not the cutest thing you've ever seen, and it just happened to be all from fabric I already had in my sewing bin and in my stash. So when you sew a lot, sometimes you luck out like that and you have things that you can match and put together. But there we go. If that is not cute, any little girl, little princess, would love to have this pillowcase. And probably even some teenagers and young women. But write in the comments and let me know what you decide to do with this little project. And if you can, send me a picture. I would love to see what you create with your imagination and your ideas and make it fun. I can stay in my house all by myself all day and work on projects because I love working on projects. And I think I've told you that in some of my other videos. I don't like to play cards, and I don't play tennis, and I don't do a lot of other sports, but I do like to sew, cook, crochet, my watercolor, and just puttering around my house is what I call it. And I've always wanted to do it, but now that I'm retired, I have time and I can do it. And when you do projects like this and you already have a stash of fabric, it doesn't cost anything. You're just looking in your stash of fabric on what you already have and putting to use what you already have, and you can donate it, give it to somebody else if you don't need it, and make somebody else happy. So there you go. Our little project is finished. And I just love it. I think it is the cutest thing. So I hope y'all like it. Hope you enjoyed that little demonstration. And please comment and tell me what you think of this project, and tell me if there's some other projects that you would like to see or you would like for us to do on this shared retirement journey, something that we can share with each other. And if at all possible, if I think I can do it and you send in something, I will do it. I know I have made tote bags before. We have donated tote bags, and I've done little gift bags at Christmas that I put Christmas goodies and cookies and candy in. I've done walker caddies for the walkers at the nursing home. So, I mean, you're just limited only by your imagination and what you want to do and your time, and that's it. You can do whatever you want to do. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed that. Well, it's a beautiful spring day, March, and we are out walking. Maisie doesn't need a coat on today, and she is just walking spry like she is enjoying the warm weather and the sunshine. There's the dandelion blooming, so soon it will make little puffy things to blow. Hi, Maisie. Hi, Maisie. Yeah. All the bushes are coming out, new leaves blooming. Spring is here in Mississippi. So the tulip tree is in full bloom, and sometimes it's called Japanese magnolia, sometimes it's tulip tree, but it is beautiful. I think it is so pretty in the spring. Huh, Maisie, what do you see? What do you see, huh? The bird is happy it's spring. This is another really pretty little bush that is blooming. And I don't know the name of it either, but it's always so pretty in the spring. Here are the rose. They are all have risen. And I've just brushed the tops of them with the egg wash, a beaten up egg, and a little bit of water in it. So I brushed all the tops of the rolls with the egg wash, and I have the oven heating. It's heating to 380, and I'm going to put the rolls in and let them bake while I go out and take care of Maisie. I left her outside and she's not liking it. She wants me out there with her. So did I mention how good it makes your house smell when you're baking fresh bread? My whole house smells like fresh baked bread. The rolls are done, and my house smells wonderful. Wait till you see them. They baked for exactly 12 minutes, and this is what they look like. Aren't they beautiful? So I'm going to take them off the cookie sheet and put them on the counter and turn them upside down so the bottoms won't get soggy from the moisture. So the crispy brown top that you saw is a result of the egg wash. The egg wash makes it come out beautiful. So I've turned them upside down so they can cool. And this is what I'm going to have for dinner tonight. I'm going to have one buttered, hot, fresh baked roll and probably a scrambled egg and maybe a little piece of bacon or sausage. But hope you'll try this recipe. It is good.